Stanley Kubrick, 2001 Space Odyssey, the best sci-fi film of all time for the most part, but also in comparison to Interstellar, so much better, so much better. I mean, let's talk about the actual production, okay? In the 1960s, they made zero gravity seamlessly, which I think is amazing. They built this like silent world that just seemed eerie. Character development isn't really so much of a story in so much as the dangers of AI, the dangers of space, the dangers of time, the dangers of just getting off Earth and just, you know, really bringing maximum imagination to what's beyond the stars. And I get so nostalgically emotional thinking about 2001 Space Odyssey. Everything was absolutely perfect. Like Stanley Kubrick, mad genius masterpiece just on display from every single facet of 127 takes to, you know, the eerie choir coming in and really just building something that no one's ever seen before.
Stanley Kubrick, one of the greatest directors of all time, arguably the greatest filmmaker of all time. 2001 is boring as shit. It is a terrific piece of filmmaking, especially for the time. The effects are out of this world. I'm sorry, I had to. It was right there, I had to. But the inherent problem is something you brought up. The story, the characters are not the focus, the attention, or the driving factor of the film. 2001 is almost a better technical showing. It should have been shown as a test run to studios. It's an impressive piece of filmmaking that you just don't give a f*** about. Like, none of the characters are genuinely compelling or interesting. Hal is a cool villain, but he's not even really a villain. He's not even really an antagonist. Almost an existential threat personified by a computer that decides that people aren't worth it. There's no personality really to Hal. His coldness and lack of personality is what makes him so creepy, and like that's effective as a creepy little touch, but it's not compelling as a character standpoint. 2001 is one of the greatest technical films ever made. I fell asleep the first 3 times I tried to watch it. Interstellar, for all its flaws, is a more compelling and more engaging film that actually does pay attention to the best stuff in Interstellar. The space stuff is impressive, the most engaging and the most compelling, and the best stuff in Interstellar is the character work, is the emotional connections between everybody that fuels that film.
I am ready for the next round. Let's talk about Interstellar and how ridiculous it actually was. Oh my god. First off, yes, we have this like beautiful connection between like Matthew McConaughey's character and her daughter. Have we noticed, did anyone notice at all how no one gave a shit about his son? No one cared. He had a son. Did you remember that? No, you didn't, because he never existed as far as anyone was concerned. So don't tell me that, oh, it's about family, about the human condition. There was a whole element that wasn't even paid attention to, which made me laugh so hard. I'm like, wait, what about his son? The entire time I was like, he has a son, what the heck? And then on top of that, we have this weird thing where it's like, okay, let's go into the black hole. Cool, what's in the black hole? What's in that? Oh, here's this quaint little library of everything past, present, and future. And oh, by the way, you can pick any place in time to stare at. It didn't even inquire into like the scientific aspect. Like, it went so hard on science, which I appreciated, but then black hole, it's like, oh, library. Huh? Like, why? Why did you do that? I feel like they really dropped the ball. Like, if they really wanted to go hard science to Interstellar by doing that. With 2001: A Space Odyssey, what I really loved about it is that Hal, like, essentially the perfect bad guy. Like, when you, in the scene where he's, like, dropping all these, like, astronauts air and making them suffocate in their sleep beds, like, I love it because there's, like, there's no sound. Almost like an everyday thing for him, and that's uniquely terrifying because Hal isn't inherently evil. He's essentially trying to like save and kind of calculate, and that's a really terrifying thing. And then what really makes it fascinating is, as Hal is shutting down, he's essentially pleading for his life, but in a robotic form. I'm fine now, Dave. The whole, when he's singing Daisy, and it's just like, it just feels so weird and disturbing and surreal, and it's such a surreal, cerebral show, especially at the end. Yes, it's one of the most confusing endings in cinema history, but the sum of its parts, it just makes for this beautiful technical masterpiece, as you said, but also a unique, terrifying feeling that I don't think any cinema has actually been able to replicate yet.
Okay, so kind of starting off, Casey Affleck is not as important to the film as Myth. To say that he's forgotten by the film detracts from what is the best scene in the film: Matthew McConaughey getting all the video messages from home. That's what in particular I'm talking about when I say the emotional, the human connection between these characters is what's really compelling about Interstellar. Is stuff like the really actually tragic moments when McConaughey realizes he's missed his son's life. Stuff like that is fantastic. Yes, the black hole that leads to the library across time and space is dumb, but it's about as dumb as the final astronauts in 2001 becoming an old man and seeing the obelisk and becoming a star baby. They're both going for very ethereal, very bizarre finales. And so
Star Baby is everything.
There's a vagueness to them that I think makes them almost comparable in a sense. All of Hal is effective from a technical standpoint, like you said, with the silent killings, but he's still not, he's weird, but he's not a compelling character. He's not a character.
2001 Space Odyssey is a movie that will always and forever be referenced in pop culture. It is a permanent and classic zeitgeist. Even 100 years from now, people will still be talking about 2001 Space Odyssey being a masterpiece of cinema, where I believe that Interstellar probably won't be a similar footnote in history. And more importantly, it's Hal, that's the point. He's not supposed to be a compelling character. He's supposed to be this cold robotic AI, something that you don't think about on an everyday basis. And because your thoughts are assuming that your AI is going to keep you safe, and that's kind of really the start of how the robot overlord idea kind of took over in Western society. And finally, more important, nothing's going to be iconic, if anything else, from that movie than da 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 boom 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 boom. That music is now forever etched as a 2001 Space Odyssey classic. Nothing can take that away from it, period.
2001 A Space Odyssey is a technical marvel. It is a astonishingly visual film that has left a major and lasting impact on the general pop culture idea of cinema. But the things that make it a good film to go back to, that make it a compelling film, that make it a fun film to watch, what films are supposed to do, none of that is there for 2001. 2001 feels like watching really well done homework. Whereas Interstellar we haven't even gone into Matt Damon's role, we haven't even gone into Anne Hathaway's role, we haven't even gone to the Ocean Planet, which is dope. We haven't gotten into the robot buddy. There's so much to Interstellar that makes it almost a more it's fun to go back to Interstellar in a way as a viewer, and not only as a viewer, but as somebody who appreciates the structure and the way that you build a film and make a film compelling and make a film relatable and make a film fun. Interstellar will always be more enjoyable to go back to than 2001, and I think that says a lot to the quality of the film.